The Pisces gamerus, a peculiar species that rarely ventures outside its natural habitat, the gaming cave. The Pisces has a single-minded focus on its surprisingly ineffective mating ritual, PC gaming. It sees everything as a tool for this ritual, no matter how unlikely, and becomes easily enraged when its need is not fulfilled. And today we will see what happens when a rival species tries to appeal to this highly unreasonable creature. But first, the sponsor of today's research. Today's video is sponsored by Micro Center, and it's finally happened! Micro Center Santa Clara is officially open. Good job team, pats on the back all around. Go check it out with the links down below for exclusive Santa Clara promotions. Ooh. Also, check out Micro Center's laptop savings event where they already have a bunch of 50 series laptops on sale. And finally, Micro Center's partnered with Affirm, so that you can do flexible payment Affirm things. Links for everything down below. I'm pretty surprised I managed to get a Switch 2. Showed up at Best Buy 10 minutes after they opened and there was still like a pile left of them. Interestingly, I also requested an invitation to buy one on Amazon, and as of now, I still haven't gotten an invitation to buy one. So I think if you missed it in store, you may have been screwed. Ooh, it's so much bigger. It comes with one in the box. Why was I baited to buy a separate one then? That's super annoying. But yeah, okay, you get one of these. And then you also get a power brick for it with a replaceable cable, which is a nice touch. This is a little 60-watt charger. Okay, cool. And the included cable isn't super long, and it's not like a nice fancy braided cable, but it's got a reasonable soft touch feeling to it. Oh no, we've got a little pinch wound in our cable. And then I'm guessing the last thing we get is the dock. We've got rounded corners, which the previous gen didn't have. And then, does this open? Oh, it does open. Okay, so this is the cable routing bit, I'm guessing. We've also got some ventilation in the base of it and a LAN port. That is actually very useful. And it's also got a USB hub. Nice. Straight off the bat, the new Joy-Cons are just a bit bigger than the previous generation, but they feel very similar. They do get a more substantial magnetic attachment bit, which means they might not be as rickety as the first gen. But aside from the upgraded shoulder triggers, I do really wish they added some more ergonomics to these, because they still have that same medieval hand torture device vibe as the first gen. More of a Steam Deck girth to the controller, because you know, you want it to feel like your hand is full. Although I guess adding some actual grip to a Joy-Con may introduce some compatibility issues with all of the random plastic crap peripheral add-ons. Now when it comes to the body of the Switch 2, it is significantly bigger than the OG Switch. I mean, if that comparison isn't enough to inspire a complex, I don't know what is. Now I'll get more into the specs in a second, but first there's something I really have to try. On the sides, that's the new clip mechanism, which you kinda... Oh, that's nice. Oh, it still does that same thing. Oh, it still feels like you can accidentally snap its spine in a spiny shell-induced rage. Oh, it still feels so awkward to hold compared to a Steam Deck, and the extra massive size really doesn't help. Ooh, I like the new desk stand. There's a nice rigidity to it, which means you can really place it exactly where you want it. Although, how long do you think it's gonna take a 10-year-old to accidentally snap it off and ruin their childhood? I don't know, like 10 days tops? What do you think? On the base, we've got some thick looking speakers. That's got me very excited. And then here is our USB-C port. The top gets some serious looking ventilation next to an extra USB-C port, which is nice. And what? A headphone jack? That's super exciting. Oh yeah, and I guess there's also a game card slot. Now it's with the specs where things get really interesting, because not many people know this, but there aren't actually any semiconductors in the original Switch. There's just an Oompa Loompa with a hand crank. And even with forearms like Popeye, there's only so much they can do. Luckily for the Switch 2, Nintendo decided to invest in some semiconductors, which is good news for all the PC gaming I'm gonna do on it later. Now, in terms of chip, it's got a Tegra T239 in it. Now, there are a lot of specs on screen at the moment, with the main takeaway being the Switch 2 can roundhouse kick the Switch 1 in the face from a different postcode. And it's very exciting to see that they added DLSS support so that our games can be nice and smeary. But aside from the improved guts, the display is also a big upgrade. We're getting almost an 8-inch 1080p 120Hz display, which is unfortunately not OLED, presumably so that they can sell us an OLED version of it 2 years from now. Let's see how that goes. But with that, let's turn on the Switch and get some first impressions. Now, for some reason, the initial update took really long. After 25 minutes, I got bored and went to lunch, after which I got an error warning that it wasn't able to download the update, which went away when I restarted the console and it just worked normally. But then, when I launched the Nintendo store, it kept giving me weird error codes and refused to load anything. At which point, I did a Wi-Fi speed test, which gave abysmal results. A result which massively improved when I held my Switch right next to my Wi-Fi router. Oh, on a quick side note, when I posted a short about this issue, a bunch of presumably Americans were very upset by how I said the word router. Although I'm not sure what the confusion is about, I'm pretty sure that a router doesn't also provide internet to an area. It would be weird for a thing that rounds the corners of wood to also do that. But then having actually connected to the Nintendo store, I was immediately shook to my core. Oh, 100 CAD. Whoa. 110? What? Surely the tech demo's 15 CAD for the welcome tour. They smoking some strong crack over at Nintendo, that's crazy. Okay, so Mario Kart World's finally finished downloading after I moved the Switch right next to the router. But yeah, let's see if it actually works. I'm back to the further away spot now. And after just 15 minutes of fighting the weird DRM, I finally got it running. Yeah, I guess I want to be the fish with a butthole for a mouth. That seems cool. You can tell that it is a lot more powerful than the OG Switch. The game's running nice and smoothly. And look at them particle effects and lighting. Ooh, fancy. Now, in terms of use case that actually makes sense for the Switch 2, which is playing Nintendo game on it, I've been doing that for about 4 days, and honestly, it is a welcome upgrade over the first Switch. Hidden game looks and runs way better, and it scales really nicely on a bigger 4K TV. I was playing some Mario Kart with Anna, and it looks nice and sharp, it runs well, and it does all of the Nintendo console things really well. It's got very nice menu sounds, and it's nice and cheerful to interact with. The display not being OLED is also not as much of a dumpster fire as I was expecting. Its motion rendering's still not great, but it is wildly vibrant, and its black levels are decent for what it is. And I think that it's an upgrade that the Switch really needed. But having said all that, Nintendo really needs to chill with all of the monetization on this thing. They're taking it way too far. Everything costs money to interact with, and way more than you feel like it should. Interacting with this thing makes me feel like an industrial dairy cow. It just hooks itself up to my teats and tries to milk me dry. Yeah, I don't think I've ever interacted with a device that makes me feel as much like livestock as this thing does. But maybe it draining my nipples and making me go moo would be worth it, if it's not only good at Nintendo game things, but can also do PC gaming things like they kind of allude to in some of the ads for this thing. So with that, let's find out. I probably need to put this higher up. Wow, it does actually just immediately work as a mouse. This is kind of weird feeling. Is that latency? And my gut reaction here is, why would you want this? Maybe it works better with the lanyard side thing. But then you've got this dangling around. It's like right where your palm meets the table. Okay, if you close it up, it's okay. Yeah, you know, it's there, it's happening. This mouse implementation may actually be more of an ergonomic disaster than the Magic Mouse. I didn't know that was possible. But luckily, the Switch also just recognized the keyboard, which was refreshing. So getting the Switch 2 to function vaguely like a gaming PC requires all the technical know-how of a chimpanzee, I have downloaded 2 PC equivalent games to test, Fortnite and No Man's Sky. The obvious option to try is Cyberpunk, but I don't want to pay $110 for it. Maybe I can work myself up to it by the end of this video making process, but we'll see. But the moment I loaded into No Man's Sky, there was a problem. Ooh, look at that. We've got our keyboard moving us around, but the mouse... Okay, we're gonna have to go into settings here. Long story short, no matter what I did in the settings, I couldn't get No Man's Sky to treat the Joy-Con like a mouse. And weirder still, when I plugged a normal mouse in, it was wildly on drugs. I could move the cursor, but only on bits of the screen, in the menu. And in the game, just the click worked, I couldn't look around. A software issue they're presumably gonna fix at some point. So this is the extent of our PC gaming-like experience on the Switch 2 so far. I can't look around, but I can shoot and walk around. Jumping works. Yeah, like all of the keyboard controls work. Here, it's working as a mouse. In the actual game, it isn't. So I think No Man's Sky doesn't know how to interact with a mouse on the Switch 2. Even though this is a Switch 2 specific version of No Man's Sky. But maybe Fortnite's figured it out. They are a $100 trillion company. But Fortnite needed internet, which meant I had to move my setup to right next to my router. But no matter what I did with the settings in Fortnite, I couldn't get it to read either the keyboard or the mouse. Fortnite doesn't even seem to realize that the keyboard or the mouse is connected. It doesn't respond to that at all. Which meant I had no other option but spend an absurd amount of money buying Cyberpunk again, with no refunds! Ooh, yeah, the frame rate is not amazing. The game actually looks really good. The visuals are great for a little handheld, but it feels very heavy, and I don't know how much you can see. There's quite a lot of input lag. That is, I would not want to play this game like this. Interestingly, the normal mouse felt maybe a hair snappier than the Ergonomic Disastercon, but I wasn't sure. They both feel pretty rubbish. But let's switch it from quality to performance settings and see how much that helps. Oh yeah, that feels a lot better. Like, it's still a little input laggy, but it's a huge improvement. And suddenly I was very impressed. This mouse implementation is a complete abomination. It has to be a meme. This has to be a joke. I genuinely don't understand why this is a thing that they thought is a good idea. But in terms of how Cyberpunk looks and runs, even at the lower settings, the display is small enough that at like a distance like this, it still looks pretty good. There's a bunch of particle effect going on here. It looks relatively sharp, although again, this is on a really small display, so it's kind of easier for the system to get away with making it look nice. I don't really entirely understand what the point of this is. Like, the point of a Switch is to play Mario on. This feels pretty pointless to me, but it's cool that it can run it, you know? This very much felt like an exercise of the Switch 2 going, look at my muscles at me, which I guess is impressive, but let's see what happens when we remove the crutch of teeny-weeny eye straight-o-vision. Oh wow, it feels a lot better with performance mode. There is a lot of glitching. That was in non-TV mode as well. Now this is a 1080p display, so I'm guessing the output is 1080p. I'm not sure how it interacts with this, but with performance, it feels decent. It's still pretty stuttery, but it's way better than with quality, because the quality preset is real heavy feeling. And visually, I don't know how much of a difference there is between them. Yeah, I feel like maybe it's a bit sharper, but it runs so much worse. Oh, it does not feel great. You definitely have to do performance mode, because even performance mode is kind of lower tier playable. I did want to go back to using the super ergonomic mouse. Oh yeah, that's so much better. And the sensitivity is just so reasonable. It doesn't feel very jerky or jumpy around at all. Oh wow, on TV size scale, it looks brutal. I don't think the actual render resolution changes based on the output display, because it feels like it's running at the same frame rate it was running on the 1080p display and just on the Switch's actual display. I mean, I have to say, despite it looking pretty horrendous, it is impressive that it's running even at this fidelity on a Switch 2. I mean, it's like a little handheld console designed for like kids to play Mario on. Which brings me to the end of the video. Please subscribe and like so the algorithm pushes this video, so YouTube helps my depleted teats recover from the Switch 2, or buy some loser t-shirts if it doesn't financially ruin you. Either helps sustain my mams. Thanks to the Patreons, and until the next video, bye bye.